Hey guys, this is Sergeant Phoenix back in the action, and today we are doing another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile. This time it is from the ZEXAL era, and this character is my favourite of all of ZEXAL. And you'll know him for his sinister laugh, like a Joker kind of laugh, and, well, you'll just know him because of the main laugh and his wings. Umbral horrors, which are only used by one person in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vector, aka Rare Shadow. Vector was one of the 7 Barrier Emperors in that season. Even of that story arc, I should say really, because they had 3 seasons. And he was one of the main villains on it. And his deck was a Dark Fiend types who used Umbral horrors and number cards. And this deck's solely focused on one particular number, but it's also a story deck as well. Like a character, for the character. And I have tested and practiced this deck. I have built it as a best I can with what I had. And I am actually quite glad with the results, since it is almost like an anti-Xyz deck. But the only card I didn't add in were 2 specifically, Sargasso and Sargasso Lighthouse. And I'll show you why. So first we have Umbral Horror Ghoul, and this monster was the first monster we ever see him use in his first ever duel, and it was the first one you actually see him use against an opponent when Yuma sees like the real him. Now, Umbral Horror Ghoul's effect: once per turn, by making this you can make this monster's attack point 0, and if you do, special summon one Umbral Horror monster with 0 attack from your hand. Which were these ones as well fit him. The first one, Umbral Horror Unform. And this card originally says 0 attack and defense. But its effect, if you're wanting to get rid of some life points, you can use it. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, while attacking a monster, you can special summon 2 Umbral Horror monsters from your deck, but you can only use the effect of Umbral Horror Unformed once per turn. So this only works when this is attacking, not when an opponent attacks it. So you attack a monster, let's say it has 1200 attack, this will be destroyed and you take 1200 points of damage, but you could summon, let's say if you need stronger monsters, let's say these 2 if you wanted. But it's your choice. Next we have another monster with 0, Umbral Horror Will-O-the-Wisp. And this card's effect: when this card is normal or special summoned, target one Umbral Horror monster you control or in your graveyard except this one. This card's level becomes the current level of that monster. So let's say I did what I did before and I summoned those 2 Umbral Horrors. And then I started attacking. I could use both their effects to summon 2 of these if I wanted to. Because it doesn't have that restraint. Its other effect is, though, when it's... Let me just read it while organising these. When this attack position card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, and was in face-up attack position at the start of the damage step, destroy the monster that destroyed this card. And this deck's kind of one of those, if you want to take damage to use its effects, you can do. And next we're getting up to all the levels being the same. And these are Umbral Horror Ghost. This card's effect: during your main phase, you can special summon this card and 1 level 4 or lower fiend type monster from your hand. You cannot special summon or set. You cannot normal summon or set during the turn you activate this effect. You can only use the effect of Umbral Horror Ghost once per turn. And this is a good card to use. I've used it before. So I could summon a monster I had that needed 3 level 2s, because I also used this one as well. Plague Spreader Zombie. It's a tuner and a zombie. You could actually put a synchro in this deck if you wanted to, but it's if you want to or not. You could add a level 8 like Dark End Dragon, or any other level 8, Stardust, Red Dragon Archfiend. You use a level 4 and another level 2, or you have 3 level 2s already on the field when you have this out. It works. Because this card's effect, if this card is in your graveyard, you can place 1 card from your hand to the top of your deck, special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. But if you use it as an Xyz material, which this deck's based on, it'll attach to it, and then it'll just go to the graveyard when you use it, when you detach it. Next, we have the Malicevorous. These actually were never a part of Vector's deck. These were for the duelist number 96, who actually was the number card number 96, Dark Mist. And I put all 3 of them in, because, like I said, this deck's based on the level, on the rank 2s, mostly. This card's effect, when this card is normal summoned, you can target 1 Malicevorous monster in your graveyard except Malicevorous Knife. And you can special summon it. I think I said special instead of target. I meant target the Malicevorous and that Malicevorous monster and then summon it. Next we have Malicevorous Fork. You can send 1 face-up. You can send 1 feed-type monster from your hand to the graveyard, then special summon this card from your hand. And then we only put in 2 of these for reasons. Malicevorous Spoon. Alright, there's something on it then. When a Malicevorous monster with a different name is normal or special summoned to your side of the field, except during the damage step, you can target 1 level 2 fiend-type monster in your graveyard, special summon that target. Its effects are negated, also you can only use the effect of this once per turn. Let's say, I'm just going to put them in position. Let's say I've got each of the 3 of them in my hand, and you can do this. I normal summon Malicevorous Spoon, then I send Malicevorous Knife to the graveyard to special summon Malicevorous Fork. Then Malicevorous Spoon's effect, since I summon that, I can special summon Malicevorous Knife. So then straight away you already have 3 level 2 monsters. And that was actually number 96's move when he got these cards. But I also use something, and I actually have put Dark Mist in this deck as well, which you'll see soon. Because Vector actually does actually obtain number 96 Dark Mist. Next we're on to our spell cards. The first one is 2 mini clays. If your opponent controls a monster, target a level 2 or lower defense position monster you control, special summon from your deck in defense position 1 monster with the same name as that monster on the field, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only activate mini clay 1 per turn. Sorry. And next we have the signature for all Baryons. And and I'll show you. 2 copies of Rank Up Magic Baryons Force with Shan. And for those who don't know, for certain numbers in Xyz, this actually lets you target that face-up Xyz monster you control, and special summon from your extra deck 1 number Chaos or Chaos Xyz monster with the same type as that monster you control, but 1 rank higher by using it as an Xyz material. Special summon. This special summon is treated as an Xyz summon though, and all the Xyz materials from the monster you're using to rank up also get added to that one as well. And also, with this card has a certain thing which makes it good. Then, if possible, detach 1 Xyz material from a monster your opponent controls and attach it to the summoned monster as an Xyz material. So let's say I have an Xyz monster and I activate this, it'll rank up into a Chaos Xyz. And if my opponent, let's say, has number 39 Utopia, I then steal... Then my monster will steal its overlay unit. Well, if it has one. If it had one overlay unit left and I stole it, it wouldn't be able to use its effect. Next we have Contract with Don 1000. And this card's effect... When this card is activated, both players lose 1000 life points. And if they do, each draws one card. All cards that are drawn while this card effect is applied must remain revealed. While a player's spell card in the hand is revealed by this effect, that player cannot normal summon or set monsters. You can only activate the effects. You can only activate one Don Contract with Don 1000 per turn. So you can't have two of them. You can only, on the same turn, you can only have one of them. And I only have one in this deck. Next we have Don 1000's Throne. During each of your opponent's end phases, gain life points equal to the number of times you took battle damage this turn times 500. So let's say my opponent attacked me 5 times, I gain 2500 life points. When a number monster you control is targeted for an attack except number C Chaos monster, Xyz monsters, like number Chaos monsters. But except this is only for the numbers. If it was, because it says number C monsters, so it means Chaos numbers. You can send this card to the deck. You can send this card to the graveyard, negate the attack, then special summon from your extra deck one number Chaos number monster with the same number as in its name as that number monster you control by as an Xyz material. This special summon is treated as an Xyz summon. Xyz materials attached to it also becomes Xyz materials to the summoned monster. You can only control one Don 1000's Throne. So it works like the rank up magic Baron's Force. Next I have a really good card if you want to use Vector's signature monster. Rank up magic, the 7th one. And this card can activate. To activate this card, you must draw it for your normal draw in your draw phase. Reveal it and keep it revealed until the start of the main phase 1. At the turn of your main phase 1, that same turn, you can special summon from your extra deck or graveyard one monster that has a number between 101 and 100 or 107. In its name, except number Chaos monsters. Then Xyz summon from your extra deck one Chaos number monster with the same number as in its name as the first monster by using it as an Xyz material. You can only use the effect of rank up magic, the 7th one, once per duel. You can have more of this in your deck, but since I only have only one of Vector's signature number, or as we call them, the Emperor. Some people call it the Emperor's number or the Baron's number. It's pretty much useless, but you can use it again if you don't. If you can't summon it, you don't have to use it straight away. So let's say I draw it normally, reveal it, and I can just put it back in like that in main one, then just activate. Then I can activate it. So I can summon, let's say 101 to the field, and then it ranks up into Chaos number 101, and it'll have its up, and it'll take the original 101 as its overlay unit. Or Xyz material. I say overlay unit because it kind of sounds better. It sounds better than, Xyz material. It just sounds better. Next we have Poison of the Old Man. And you can and it has 2 effects, but you can only use one. You you can choose to gain 1200 life points or inflict 800 damage to your 800 points of damage to your opponent. And this is a quick effect as well. Next we have another quick spell, Emergency Provisions. You can send any number of spell and trap cards you control to the graveyard, then gain 1000 life points at each. You'll gain 1000 life points for each one sent because of this. Next we have Xyz Shift. And this card's effect, tribute one Xyz monster, special summon from your extra deck one monster with the same type, attribute and rank as the tributed monster had on the field, but with a different name. And if you do, attach this card to it as an Xyz material. During the end phase, send it to the graveyard. You can only activate one Xyz Shift per turn. Next we have Swords of Revealing Light, which of course stops you from attacking your opponent from attacking for 3 turns, and it flips all of the cards that your opponent has face down, face up, and they can't use their effects. No, it doesn't negate effects. It doesn't stop flip effects. Next we have Corrupt Keys. Now, this will target one face-up Xyz monster you control and special summon 3 Umbral Horror Mirage tokens, which are Fiend types, Dark Attributes level 1s with question mark attack, and 0 defense. When summoned, each token's attack becomes equal to that Xyz monster's current attack. They cannot attack your opponent directly or be tributed except for a tribute summon. When that face-up Xyz monster leaves the field, destroy these tokens. And let's say you have a monster with 3,000 attack points, an Xyz monster. You can summon 3 of them, and they'll have 3,000 attack each. So you've got 4 monsters with 3,000 points. Next, we have Graceful Tear. Send 1 card from your hand to your opponent's hand, then gain 2,000 life points. Next we have 3 Strikes Barrier. If your opponent controls exactly 3 cards, activate one of these effects. This turn, your monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. This turn you take no battle damage, or option 3. This turn, each time your opponent inflicts battle damage, each time your monsters inflict battle damage to your opponent, you gain the same amount of life points. So, question 1 is they can't be destroyed by battle, and 2, you don't take damage, and 3 is the gain in life point advantage. Next we have Draining Shield. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, target the attacking monster, negate the attack, and if you do, gain life points equal to that target's attack. So if your opponent's monster has 3,000 attack, you stop it, you'll gain 3,000 life points. Next we have Purge Ray. Tribute 1 Xyz monster during the end phase. Special summon from your extra deck 1 number monster with the same type, but 1 rank lower as the tributed monster had when it was on the field. Next we have Side Effects. Your opponent draws 1 to 3 cards, then gain 2,000 life points for each card they drew with this effect. So your opponent draws 1 card, 2,000, 2 cards, 4,000, and 3 cards, 6,000. And someone actually drew 3 cards and gave me 6,000 life points. Next we have Jar of Avarice. This lets you target 5 cards in your graveyard except a Jar of Avarice. Shuffle all 5 of them into the deck, then draw 1 card. You can only activate a Jar of Avarice per turn, but since there's only 1, it doesn't need it. Next we're on the number card that makes this deck. It's what this deck's mainly focused on. Number 43, Manipulator of Souls. It needs 3 level 2 dark monsters to summon it. And its effects are: once per turn, you can attach one exceed material from this card, then target one number monster in your graveyard, equip that target to this card. While equipped with a number card, this card cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Once per turn, when you gain life points, except during the damage step, you can make this card gain an equal amount of attack. Also inflict that much damage to your opponent if this card is still face up on the field. So let's say I summon this, and let's say there's a number here. I equip it onto it, can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, and I use Graceful Tear to give my opponent a card. I gain 2,000 life points, then that will gain 2,000 attack points, and then my opponent loses 2,000 life points. And this card can be dangerous. I've used it to deal 6,000 points, and as well as use it, and as well as attack with it. But only because my opponent didn't have any cards to stop me. Next we have its rank up form. Chaos number 43, High Manipulator of Chaos. And its effect is: all tokens you control can make a second attack during each standby phase. If this card has number 43 Manipulator Souls as an exceed material, it gains this effect. Once per turn, you can attach one exceed material from this card. Special summon a Manipulator token, which is a Fiend type, a Dark type, a level 1 with questioned attack and defense. When summoned, its attack and defense become equal to half of your opponent's current life points. So let's say you summon this on your first turn, and your opponent's got 8,000 life points. This monster will gain that monster will have 4,000 attack points, and if your opponent doesn't do anything to stop it twice, you can win the duel in one turn. But that rarely happens. Next we have number 65, Gin Buster. And it needs 2 level 2 dark monsters. During either player's turn, when an effect of an opponent's monster is activated, you can attach 2 exceed materials from this card, negate the activation, and if you do, inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent. Next we have its Chaos form. Chaos number 65, King Overfiend. And its effect is: once per turn, you can attach 1 exceed material from this card, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls. It loses 1,000 attack and defense, while this card has number 65 Gin Buster as an exceed material, it gains this effect. Effect monsters your opponent controls cannot activate their effects. Pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Next we have number 96, Dark Mist. I don't have its Chaos form, which I'm planning to get for this deck. If you have got it and you want to build a Vector deck, I would use number 96 and its Chaos form, because of its effect right here. It needs 3 level 2 monsters. Once per battle, during either player's turn, when an attack is declared involving this card and an opponent's monster, you can detach an exceed material from this card, half the attack of your opponent's monster, and if you do, this card gains the same amount of attack. So technically with this, by using an overlay unit, it steals half of that it'll take half of that monster's attack points. So for this monster, unless your opponent negates or stops its effect, it can always have more attack points than any of your opponent's monsters if you make sure that you're draining from powerful monsters. Next we have number 66, which was actually the first number card Vector revealed when used against Yuma. Number 66 is Master Key Beetle, which needs 2 level 4 dark monsters. Its effect is: Once per turn, you can detach one exceeds material from this card, then target one card you control, except this card. While this card is face up on the field, that cards cannot be destroyed by card effects. If this face up card on the field would be destroyed, you can send one of its targets to the graveyard instead. So let's say I use Don Thousand's Throne. It can't be destroyed now. But if my opponent wants to destroy this, I can destroy Don Thousand's Throne instead of and this won't be destroyed. And next we have, it is damaged, I'm not going to lie. And this, believe it or not, was actually the first ever number card I actually got when I started. And it was years ago when I got this, when I first started dueling, and it kind of had and we kind of had a bit of calamity. And it is number 104 Masquerade. And this is Vector's Barry and Emperor number. It's the one that was created by Don Thousand for him. It needs 3 level 4 monsters to summon it. During either player's battle phase, when an opponent's monster effect is activated, you can detach one exceeds material from this card, negate the activation, and if you do, inflict 800 points of damage to your opponent. Its other effect, once per turn, you can send the top card from your opponent's deck to the graveyard. And it has 2700, and it is actually I've used this card in my Varus deck that I've got, because I have another Rank Up Magic, the 7th one, and I summon this card for it. Chaos number 104, Umbral Horror Masquerade. And its ability is, when this card is special summoned, you can target one spell or trap card on the field, destroy that target. If this card is number 104 Masquerade as an exceeds material, it gains this effect. Once per turn during either player's turn, when a monster effect is activated on your opponent's side of the field, you can detach one exceeds material from this card, negate the activation, and then send one random card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard. And if you do, half your opponent's life points. There are a lot more powerful monsters than this one, but this is a really dangerous number, I think. And that is it. That is Vector's story deck with a few cards added. There was actually a few cards of Vectors that were never made, and that were two Umbral Horror spell cards, a few traps, another Umbral Horror monster, Umbral Horror Golem, I think it was. I believe its name was. 2 traps that weren't Umbral Horrors. They were called Evil One and Damage Pot. There were a few other traps as well. There were other traps as well. But he did use another card and another number card called Chaos number 5. Chaos Chimera Dragon. But I need I need more number cards and I need to keep sending them to the graveyard to use it. And I actually like how I've done this deck. It's a good story deck, like how I did Yusei's deck, and it took me a while to do it. It's taken me a while to do this as well, because I had to look for the cards, make sure I got them at a good price, because I use eBay to get my cards, except I got I got Masquerade, for the original Masquerade number, this one, from a trade. I'm guessing my friend just didn't know what it was, or he probably had one, he just didn't want it. But ironically, Vector was my favourite character, and that number is one of my favourite numbers. So my character ended up using my favourite number, the first number card I ever got. I actually do collect number cards. I have 101 and 102. And 103. I just need 5, 6, and 7. I've got 107, but not its chaos form. But this deck is actually really good to use if you want to learn how to use life point strategies. Because this can focus on gaining life points, as well as reducing your opponents, and as well as like draining out your opponent's deck if you use another trap. There was a trap card he had in it as well, which I didn't put in because I don't really see Xyz monsters because we used to play a Link format until the new rules came out, which was called Vain Betrayer. It stops the attack of an Xyz monster when your opponent declares an attack with an Xyz monster, equips onto it, and your opponent can't use it, and its effects are negated. So it's like a Fiendish Chain on it. And then during certain phases, I can't remember what it was, your opponent has the top 3 cards in your opponent's deck go to the graveyard. And it was a good card to use. If you combine that with Masquerade, you could get rid of 4 cards in your opponent's deck every single turn. If, let's say you had 3 of them out on 3 Xyz monsters and then you had Masquerade, you could get rid of 10 cards in 1 turn, which is good, really good. But nobody really uses Vain Betrayer, and I didn't put it in this deck because no one really saw Xyz monsters. But if you know your opponent uses Xyz, you could actually use this if they focus solely on Xyz. You could add Sargasso as well, but you'd have to add Sargasso Lighthouse if you don't want it to damage you. Because Sargasso's effect, it's a field spell. When a player Xyz summon, they'll take 500 points of damage, and its other effect, when a player has an Xyz monster on their field, they take 500 points of damage every time their turn ends. So in 1 turn you lose 1,000, but you'll keep. And if your opponent keeps summoning Xyz, they'll keep losing 500 points and then an additional 500 during the end phase. As long as they have an Xyz monster on the field. But Sargasso Lighthouse, when the effect targets you, you send it to the graveyard to negate its effect on you. And as long as Sargasso's Lighthouse is in the graveyard, the field spell can't deal you any damage. So you'd be safe. So Sargasso won't affect you as long as it's in the graveyard, but your opponent will have no defense against it unless they destroy it or negate its effects. And overall, I actually do like this deck. I've used it. I like how I've done it. I like playing Vector's deck because honestly, I love him as a character, and his deck is really well done. And comment down below what you thought of this. And if you want me to do a deck profile on some other decks, like ones you want specifically, comment down below, and just tell me which ones you'd want me to do. But until then, this is Sergeant Phoenix, over and out.